Good morning, Tartaria Australia Autodidactic, and we have Jay in the house today. Hello, my friend. Well, we are very excited to talk to you today. How you going, buddy?
Good, good. It's an honor. Thank you. Super. Always appreciate you guys. Good energy, good vibes.
Yeah, man. Well, fucking hell, Jay. Like we are on one at the moment. Like Campbell, this is our first show for 2023. So call out to all of our audience. Everyone's had an awesome break and Christmas and whatever's been happening in the world. You had a good time, Campbell. What's been going on?
Yeah, pretty good. Tried to get some time off. Kind of did, not really. But yeah, just tried to relax. But I'm ready. I'm ready for 2023. I had a bit of a sad over that, but I think the energy sort of went, "Bleh," and we all kind of
Yeah.
but now I'm kind of ready. I'm good.
Yeah, I cracked the sads as well. Actually, when we got to the elf conversation, I definitely cracked the sads. I was like, well, that's it. I've seen the magician behind the the curtain. Now, like, what the I had it, when I first sort of started looking at the flat earth stuff, and I got really pissed, Jay, at God. I was like, man, like of all the things I don't know about, really, is this one of them? Really, that like the shape of our earth, I don't even fucking like I got really
Yeah,
mad. Yeah. I got
yeah.
flatlined.
I ran into like a hurdle, and
Yeah.
I wanted to get past it because I'm like let me just look into this real quick, And then
Same.
like the more I did, the more I'm like, oh man, like I got to climb over some stuff, and this is going to be a trek. And
Yeah.
then realization started dawning on me, and it started fitting in other missing pieces. You know what I mean?
Mm.
Just looking into alternative cosmology itself.
Yeah. I remember when I came across somebody just gave me a doco and like, hey, watch this, man. And I was like thinking it's going to be a historical documentary about the flat earth comet from 500 years ago. And 3 hours later, I was like, holy fucking shit. I fucking am so pissed off right now. I cannot believe of all my life being in service to this idea of source or God or creator. And I didn't even know the shape of the
Mm.
plane that I stand on. Like, man, I went out into the
Wow.
bush and raged up to the sky. Like
Right.
so I,
Imagine.
Yeah,
sorry,
yeah.
go on.
Kelly swore at God, man, and he answered. He turned into Thor.
Yeah, it was really intense. Like I really did for the first time ever get mad about this situation. Yelled, took myself out into the bush, yelled for about 30 minutes till I had no voice. And then this lightning strike, bang, like 20 meters from me, this sound wall like hit me, and every cell in my body vibrated so high and quick. I totally understood
Yeah.
how easy it would be to shift the frequency and for us all to disappear in a second using sound. And then it took 30 minutes for my cells to like get back to normal. And this little voice came in and went, it's a hologram. And I was like, all right, you're funny, God. It was like he electrocuted me with those ambulance, a total reset moment for
Right.
me.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. So imagine like in myths and legends and religions specifically in the past, how many times the God character or whoever it may be has told the truth seeker and warned them, like specifically, I cannot allow you to see everything. I cannot allow you to know everything because it will obliterate you. It will destroy you. So
Yeah.
imagine just these tiny little revelation moments that we have where it's like, me, I got to pace around. I've got to like
Yeah.
soak it all in for a while before I continue any further research, take a break, And that's just a sliver of light that's
Yeah.
seeped in,
Yeah.
you know?
Yep. I relate, man. So bad. So I actually had the same moment when we got to the elf and dwarf conversation. I was like, get fucked. I'm pissed off. I'm feeling flatlined. And then like that's what I took into my Christmas, New Year's holiday. So
Yes.
you were
So
much
yeah.
more calm and collected, Campbell. You were much
Oh,
more,
of
yes,
course,
man.
man. I was sitting in a
The
chair with a
elves, man.
cigar on and a smoking jacket. And
Yeah. Oh, Gandalf there.
Gandalf. Oh, yeah, but this is like the Dark Elves. So this is the thing. We've all seen these characters. We've all heard of the elves, and Jay and I kind of touched on this a little bit in our last convo. How they've turned all the elves into happy little stocking wearing tiny beings that are very helpful, and dwarves are these short,
Yeah.
squat dudes. But when you start looking, much like all of history, right? When you start looking into it, story is much different than what we've been told.
And much deeper and much older,
Much,
and
older.
so prolific, like
Yeah.
so prolific. Yeah.
So, Jay, and you've just done 2 episodes, and of course, everyone, you'll find the link below. Go check out JayDreamerz if you haven't already. Great content there. Give him a sub and all that kind of stuff. And buy his book.
Thanks.
He's got an awesome book. But you've just done 2 episodes on the Colburn Bible.
Yeah. And then I finished one earlier too. Oh yeah. Oh, I forgot to tell you about that too. Oh my God. So the Colburn Bible, I'm going through it, right? I heard about it. It's come up a time or two in the past, but then it kept coming up in my on my path. I have certain what do you call those Easter eggs? Like in the movie, they have Easter eggs that they hide or whatever. I have certain Easter eggs of life that are these huge clues that just drop into my path from time to time. And when it's really persistent, it'll drop a few times. You know what I mean? 3 times, it's an omen. 3 times, I'm heeding what I'm seeing. So the Colburn Bible came up, and I'm like, okay, I hear you. I'll check it out. I'll read it. Second, I start reading this, I know I'm going to soak it all in. I know I'm going to continue reading this. I had no idea how big it was. It's actually really big. I thought I was going to read it in like an hour. Nah, super huge. But I'm going and I'm reading, and everything that I'm reading about, it covers so many things that are just little pieces across my path so far. And then I got to like dwarves and stuff. There's times when I had to stop and I was laughing because I'm like, of course it's real. Of course it's, you know what I mean? Like, of course they're just, as a matter of factly, this guy brings up, let me, while you guys talk, I'll see if I can like find some verses here. Yeah. But as a matter of factly, it goes on and calls out, the dwarfs, they, I mean, it's like if you were reading the Bible, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then in the New Testament, it's like, of course, Jesus went to a different land than where the vampires lived. And it just talked about vampires like they were normal. That's exactly how the Colburn Bible talks about the dwarven race. And it specifically calls out misconceptions about the dwarven race, saying that like, well, most people assume that correlate the dwarves with, being double-edged, axe-wielding, stout, miners, basically.
Yep.
And then the guy's like, no, that's not even, that's furthest from the truth. They're actually, they hate fighting and stuff like that.
Wow. So the Colburn Bible is one of these, what they like to tell us is these sort of lost text, lost books things. But yeah, it tells a story, and it's got dwarves all in there as part of the narrative. So, and of course we sort of were reading, I'm not sure what it was, but about Idrisil and everything, and what was below the tree, and it was telling us that the dwarves were tall, and they were actually above the elves. They were more like the sort of the rulers of the dark elves.
Yeah, with white alabaster skin and bigger than blue eyes and tall and white haired, very Gandalf-like in sort of the description. Supreme alchemists and magicians.
Who like to make beer and mead, and they put people asleep.
Yeah, connected to sleep. Yep, hijacking the unconscious mind. Yep. So, well, look, Campbell, let's just recap our audience where Jay finds some paragraphs about where we got with our theory, how we landed here. Why have we here at Tartaria Australia got to the topic of elves and dwarfs? So we were floating through the concept of Tartaria being an airborne civilization, and then onto the idea of the appearance of suns during all these reset moments, and then activating portals and, beings and beasts pouring through the sun at every sort of level of the game. And then we started to look at, well, what is sleep? Is it natural? Were we beings of light? Did we actually sleep before? Is sleep a control mechanism? Is that the programming mechanism? What are dreams? Where do they come from? Like, how real are they versus this reality? What are they? And then out of nowhere, we were like, what do we never think about? Like, what things out there, what concepts and ideas do we know about, but we actually don't have any attitude on because they've been presented to us really fucking loftily. Like, we don't really have an attitude about dwarfs. We see them in Snow White, we see them in Lord of the Rings, and really that's kind of it for most people. Like, we don't have any attitude, so we're not really dictating strong consciousness around them. And then we're like, same with elves. And then we go, okay, we've got some gold here. Like if they haven't focused our attention on something, but yet it exists enough for us to know about it, then that's usually a program that's very deliberately presented but hidden. So that's how we got this.
And then of course we noticed the whole Santa's elves and the little elves, and we're like, but in Tolkien, they're big and tall.
Yeah.
We read about the tree of Yggdrasil, they're the same as the Tolkien elves. So, you know, they've hidden them by making them cutesy, you know. Oh, no, they're just little cutesy thing.
Yeah.
That's what I refer to as cartoonification. Like
cartoonification.
Over time, it becomes a caricature of the original. It's very distorted, but it's still there. The original is what inspired it. It's like looking into a reflection of a reflection or whatever.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? And you have to reverse engineer it to try to figure out what it originally looked like. And I think a huge part of reverse engineering it is creativity. Instead of being so fact-minded and, you know, pulling out all this historic academic type, you know, instruction and math and stuff, to balance that with listening to ourselves when we become creative and we start telling these stories. Where are they coming from? You know what I mean? When we're telling all of these stories and they're all sharing similar elements, right? From the way that the characters look to how they talk and what they do and stuff. There are little echoes that we continuously tell over and over and over again, because it has substance to it. So the creative ability opens a portal in our way of thought to allow us to share from one side to the other to be more balanced.
Yep. Excellently put, because on the topic of dwarf and elves, once we started looking into it from the Tartarian lens, which is interesting, so we definitely want to talk about that. It's just like these little cutesy cartoonificated beings have like the biggest, longest history ever. Like the amount of information, mythology, and historical references to these two beings is just like it overshadows. I mean, to the point where Cambell and I are like, this overshadows everything else that we've like looked into. Like elves are everything that we've ever, you know, like get rid of all the aliens, get rid of all the super powers or the superheroes or the gods or the galactic cosmic consciousness, all the vampires, all the wicked little reptilians, or everything, every single popular reference to anything outside of human beingness. It's like they're fucking elves.
Basically the elves. And that's the thing. I remember when we were looking at Snow White and we realized, hang on, she's like a white-skinned, pale-skinned girl in a coffin.
Yeah.
Right.
She's
surrounded by 7 dwarves.
Surrounded by the 7 dwarves who are famous for making mead that puts people to sleep.
Yeah.
And then we got into the nightmare thing, and it's, oh my God.
So, I mean, Jay's been like, so here Cambell and I on 2022, we've gone through all of Tartaria and we land on the topic of elves and dwarves, which, by the way, has been a big cutoff for a lot of people. Like my partners and friends like have followed me neatly and nicely on this journey. As soon as I started talking about elves and dwarves, they're like, we're out. Like we're done, we're out. How on earth is this relevant to our lives? Like how on earth is this? I can't even talk to you about this. Like it just, that was it. The elves, that was the chuck it all in the air. That's the end of the line.
They're solid fictional to the rest of the world.
Yeah.
They're made up, they're fantasy, which is so hypocritical for me in my perspective, because they also hold tight to Santa Claus and they hold tight to the Easter Bunny, but they're like, elves are real. I can't even talk to you.
Yeah.
Let's go hide the.
I'm gonna go put the Christmas tree up.
Or whatever. Yeah. It's like, seriously.
All right. So I gotta. Yeah. Go ahead.
No, you go.
Well, you were about to say, but I was about to just say, Jay, like, you know, here we are in 2022 and 23 talking about this, but you were onto this topic like 7 years ago. So I just wanted to know how and why you ended up in the land of elves and dwarfs so long ago. Excellent. Like, what was your trigger point? Yeah.
I will tell you right away. So it's super easy. I started when I was a kid, just being creative and thinking outside of the box and stuff, right? Never liking to conform to society or anything. And I moved a lot too. So I never had to settle down and, you know, experience peer pressure from certain, you know, experiences, whatever. But on my path, I was in religion, and religion I loved. I at first, when I started getting into it. Before I got into it, I'm like, nah, I don't want to talk about religion, you know. But then once I started, kind of going to church and stuff like that, I was like, wow, the stuff that they're teaching is interesting. There's all these secrets that they don't teach you in school and stuff. So I really got into mainstream Christianity, Protestantism. And I wasn't satisfied with just listening to whatever they were teaching me. I'm like, give me the book, give it to me. I want to check it out. Right. So I cracked it open. That, over time, when I started making more time for my studies, that led to my own studies. I started filling up the Bible with my own notes, and then pretty soon I had to get a new Bible, and I'm like, I'm just gonna have a separate notebook instead of writing in these books or whatever. And then I started taking notes, questions. I brought my questions time and time again to the building that is supposed to have the answers. And every single time, God's ways are higher than our ways, son. No one's supposed to know this, etc. I'm like, yeah, but it says right here we're supposed to look for these answers. You know what I mean? Like, why are we being so dismissive? Let's check it out. So it's like, it's all vague in general, and there's no specific history or anything like that. It's just taken for granted. Everything was taken for granted. So I started doing my own studies. For example, the giants. That's kind of in Genesis 6, I think.
Yeah.
It talks about the giants and the Nephilim and the flood and everything. And I'm like, oh, cataclysm. This is crazy. This happened to the whole world. Why doesn't the whole world know about this right now? And I just got so excited about cataclysms and stuff. And then it took me to giants. And I'm like, it said something like, blah, 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 the Nephilim. And I'm like, what are you doing, Bible? I don't know that word Nephilim. Why are you using that? So I had to go look it up and I tried to figure it out. And then that led me to branch after branch after branch, trying to figure out the anomalies that I was coming to. And pretty soon I just gave up on asking other people. I gave up. I'm like, I'm finding this. I'm going to find this. If I'm going to ask someone else, that means that I'm giving to them credit that it's able to be found. Why don't I just take credit and find it myself and figure it out for myself? So I started doing that. So, for example, this is going to segue into the elf thing. Okay. There's a part of the Bible in the book of Genesis specifically that's very boring. It just lists names, genealogies, names, so-and-so beget so-and-so. I feel like I skipped that section so many times because I'm like, I get it. You had a lot of kids. I get it. I don't need to read this part. But after a while, I didn't like that I kept skipping that, and I thought that I knew something about it, like it's below me. I forced myself to do a deep dive on that entire section that I hated, names. And wow, it cracked open my mind because it forced me to look up the words, to look up every single name. And I started realizing as I looked up these words, they have meaning. These people were named after certain events that were happening worldwide and certain things that were happening in their areas. And then it started coming to life. Something that was bland and black and white started developing color. And I'm like, wow, there's other ways to look at this. This is amazing. So that led me to looking at other words that I didn't understand. So I started looking up more and more names at first. At first, I was looking up all the names, and then there's the whole, what's the name of Jesus? What's the name of God stuff? I was like, I'll find out. Let's go look. Oh my God, it's right here. It's like, I'll go check it out. So I'm studying all these names. And then when I'm done with all the names, I'm like, I need more words. Give me more words. So I'm looking up, I started learning like what the ancient letters were. And I started on modern Hebrew. So I learned the Hebrew alphabet, modern Hebrew. And I was able to pick up words as I was reading them and comparing in the interlinear versions of the Bible and stuff. And I started getting familiar with all the modern Hebrew words. And then I went and taught myself, how to speak modern Hebrew. Not that I am fluent or anything, but I can figure it out by reading it, right? And then that led me to the 10 Commandments. And I'm reading the 10 Commandments, and I'm like, I wonder how it reads in the modern Hebrew. And then I started reading it. And then I was like, well, wait a minute. In the movie, the 10 Commandments, they don't have modern Hebrew on the tablets. When that guy comes out, Moses comes out, they don't have modern Hebrew. It's some other language. So I looked it up and I'm like, oh, it's Phoenician or Paleo Hebrew. And so I was like, I got to learn that now. So I learned the Paleo Hebrew alphabet. And then I started rewriting, going from the modern Hebrew, transliterating it into the ancient Phoenician. And I got a completely different message from what is being taught today. And it filled in so many gaps for me. Like I felt I could breathe again. Anyways, I would like to real quick share my
Mm.
screen with you guys
Yeah,
and show you
go,
an
man.
example of like how etymology sparked my interest. So let's see, share screen, boom. And it should be this one. Let me know when you can see it,
Yep.
please.
Got it.
Yeah.
All right, cool. So I've
Yeah.
written the word L up here for you. Is it big enough?
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So this is the word L. This is the word that is translated in the Bible as God in most cases, right? Sometimes there's other forms. There's Elohim and Adonai and other words that essentially mean master, okay, or God. So this is the word L. It comes from a picture. The picture, I've written this left to right because I've written it in English, okay? If I were to write this in Hebrew or Phoenician, I would write it from right to left, right? So the picture, I'm going to write it in Phoenician now from right to left. The picture is the E is actually the Aleph, which is our letter A, which comes from an image of a head of an ox, right? So it's the A, or it's actually a long time ago, it was upside down. So they did like that and they put little horns on it. So that's the ox head. This is our letter A that just flipped around over time. And it's really interesting. If you compare all of the alphabets of the world, you can see the letters all turning upside down,
Oh,
almost like
wow.
they're moving with the magnetic poles. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
All of
Right.
the letters start flipping around. It's insane. So this is our letter A, basically.
The
So this would
inversion.
be A.
Inversion. Yeah.
And the L was a staff or a rod. It had a little hook on the top, but it was seen as a shepherd's staff. The A conveys power or strength, just like an ox is powerful, right? So this is not a letter A. It's not the letter Aleph. It's not anything but a glyph, which is a symbol that represents an actual thing. This represents something that in itself represents being strong. So this letter A means strong, basically, right? The next one is L, which a long time ago was upside down, and it's a staff or a rod, right? And it meant a leader. The rod meant discipline, instruction, guidance, and I believe it symbolized those blue beams that shoot up out of the earth that I talk about on my channel. But if we put that L over here, we've got Al. This is the short form of the Islamic God, Allah, right? It's just a childlike way of saying Al or El, right? It's Allah, just like father in Hebrew is Ab, but children say Abba. It's the same type of correlation, right?
Yeah. Like dad and dada. Yeah.
Yes. So check this out. This is the word that together means strong, right? From the ox, leader, from the staff, strong leader, mighty leader, etc. Right? Master, you could say, or whatnot. The mighty leader. Now, the word elf is in this word. The word elf stems from this word. This is the root of the word elf. The letter, all we have to do is tag on a little F at the end, right?
Yeah.
If we do that, this letter F, which is a picture, is now the suffix. This is the root, L, and F is the suffix, right? So the root is the mighty leader, something about some mighty, strong leader, right? Somebody who's revered, totally different from everybody else. Men of renown, they were called. We put the suffix on there, which is the F. The F, I'll do it over here. Sorry, it's kind of messy. But the F or the F sound, f, comes from the V sound. It is really V, right? Dialect changes from region to region. And even in some countries, they still do this. When they pronounce their Fs, they'll say a V. Some countries do this with B. Some people will pronounce the B as like more of a V sound or something. But the F definitely comes from this letter right here, which is the exact same. It's just a hard version of the letter U. That's why they look very similar. One is hard, so it's got that point at the bottom, and that gives us a V. One is an which is a U sound. They're both considered in the ancient languages to be the Vav, the sixth letter of the alphabet, which in the old languages was a hook. I'm trying to remember how to draw it. I can't remember right now. But anyways, it was a hook. Let me put hook here. So this little F on elf is a hook, okay? Now, the hook, I wish I could remember what it looks like. I'll remember in a second. I'm just nervous. So we've got the ox head, boom. We've got the staff for mighty leader, the L, and then the hook simply means connected to, just like a hook does, right?
Yeah.
It means attached to. You could also say to cling on, like in Star Trek.
Ah, the
Klinger, yeah.
Okay, right? You like how I did that?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So, anyways, that's what it means. That's what elf, elva, elvin. That's why sometimes elvin they actually put a V, right?
Mm.
Or in masonry, they literally have degrees that are called the elu, which was the mighty leaders, or those who are of or stem from the mighty leaders, right? So this is where I started transitioning from the biblical God or gods, Elohim or Elohim, to the Elu, or those of the elves, the progeny of the gods, the demigods, the elven race, etc.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah,
Yep.
That's
attached to the
where I
mighty
came from.
leaders. Yeah.
All right, let me take this down here.
That's like super, super smart graffiti there, Jay.
Thank you.
That's cool.
Hold on.
Yeah.
I don't
That's
know
the
how
sort
to
of
undo
shit
it.
I want to see on the back
Oh,
of a
I see.
toilet door at a nightclub.
Yeah, right. That would be cool.
So, all right. So, amazing. So, you basically got to the elf topic using your understanding of, well, you started with the names in the Bible. So, you went through
Yeah.
this like process and you ended up at the
Yes.
elf.
So check this out. In the Bible, because I was running into so many, this is what happens when you run into different communities of thought, is they tend to like their little community of thought. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And when you're ready to move on, it's time to move on. And
Mm.
it's not my intention to change the community, but to use it as a tool for me to grow and move on from that community.
Mm.
You know what I mean? What would you ask me? I'm so sorry. Oh, never mind. I remember. So the thing that kind of blew my mind is within the communities, various ones of Christianity in general, right? And all of the Abrahamic faiths. I was reading the Bible. I was talking to all these people. There's so much dissension, so much arguing, so much, well, my perspective and this perspective, etc. And then I got to a chapter in the Bible, 1 Corinthians 13. It defines love. And I'm like, to me, that's, if someone said, what's the purpose of everything? I'm just like, to me, that's love. It's love. You know what I mean? And so I'm like, I was really interested in it. And it says in there, point blank, love believes all things. And it dawned on me, what if I just believed everything? You know what I mean? And then I started thinking about it. I'm like, well, I don't want to be gullible. I don't want to just believe wholeheartedly what everyone tells me. But then I'm like, what if I believe in everything? What if I believe there is truth in every single thing? And then I started thinking, well, that's reasonable because God is truth. And if God is truth and at the same time omnipresent, then truth is everywhere. And so any perceived form of non-truth is illusion and pretense, and therefore I'm playing. Therefore I'm pretending and having a good time because I'm experiencing the illusion. You know what I mean? So I took that and I started trying. I had to practice, but I started applying it to everybody, especially when I heard things that were just ridiculous to me. And I'm just like, instead of, I learned different ways to approach that. Doesn't mean I have to accept it, but it does mean I have to acknowledge that also has truth to it.
Yeah.
But I'm just not interested right now. Like it's not close enough to my truths to build that bridge.
Nice. Yeah, so
Yeah.
it's like the non-judgment kind of thing as well. Like we don't have to judge things as right or wrong, good or bad. They can just be.
Yeah. Who's to say? In the grand scheme of time, the butterfly effect, it all affects everything. So ultimately, I could tell you right now, it's all good. Like if God is all good, which most people would agree to, whatever their God is, right? Then it's all good because God is omnipresent and everywhere. So that's all of it. It's all good. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, because like everything, like we live in a realm of pure potential in all directions at all times. Like, and that is God, or whatever word you want to put, experiencing itself, right? So
yeah,
absolutely,
nature.
there must be truth in everything. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
that took me down my whole path. That kind of, I stopped at various cities along the way, like we were talking about, right? When you're a truth seeker, you're a pilgrim on a journey, right? It's not in us to stay at some city that we enjoy and to get sucked in and live and die there. We are there to rest, to gain what we can, to grab some supplies and to move on. I mean, I am.
100%.
I like that. Yeah, that's good.
Well, then, like, let's take you to the very present day, Jay. After,
Let's
like,
go.
like right now, where are you at? Like, what are you talking about? Where you at? What's your what
Oh,
city? What
like
city
where?
are you in, buddy?
Oh, like where do I live? I'm in
No, no,
Colorado.
not
No, no.
literally. Like
Oh, oh, okay, I see.
with
With
your
your
truth
research.
seeking.
Oh,
Yeah,
on
with
my
your research.
path. Where am
Yeah,
I on
yeah,
my
yeah.
path?
On your
Oh,
path.
good, good,
Yeah.
good. Okay, sweet,
Mm.
sweet. Good question. So, I'm many places. I'm many places. Okay, this is hard to explain, but there have been times on my path when I'm many cities all at one time, sort of. Okay.
Yeah, same. Yep.
So sorry. Um, right now, basically, like what I'm interested in, what I'm studying and stuff like that is very deep, super, super deep. I just refer to it simply as the mind of God or the fractal verse. I'm very interested in the connection, as I was kind of alluding to earlier. There's other things that are also very deep that are below the fractal verse, like the plasma apocalypse or Tartaria or the North Pole, the hollow earth, all of that. Also, I'm also in those cities too right now. I
Mm.
love them all. They're all great. But I'm also way up in the fractal verse, exploring earth copies all over the place, like infinite earth copies all over the place, various hubs out there in what people commonly call space, and the mind of God that is connected, and why these things are happening to us on the microcosmic scale, because it's all connected across a vast mind that is thinking or dreaming. So that's kind of, I mean, that's my current
Nice.
studies. It's
Well,
those
that's, I
are
mean,
those are deep. So I don't do a lot of those. I do those sometimes and refer to them. You
it's
know,
kind of where we are at the
I try to
moment, though,
build
isn't
bridges
it?
by starting way below that,
Yeah.
though.
Well,
Yeah.
you
I
have
mean,
to because yeah, people won't understand it. But I mean, sorry, Cal, but that's where we are at the
mm,
moment. So just a quick question is, what, with all these, multiple worlds and stuff, which is a sort of thought that's coming into the consciousness. What are your views on things like Mandela effect, the weird time stuff that's going on, all these
Yeah.
effects we're seeing? Do you see it as worlds
Oh
colliding,
yeah.
whatever, or yeah, what's your perspective
It's
there?
happening. It's all a part of it. I think it's all absolutely, these are signs and omens. I would be remiss not to acknowledge them and to look into them whenever the book I'm reading changes on the page. Like, I'm definitely checking it out. I'm looking into
yeah.
it, and it's been revealed to me. It's special. You know what I mean? I don't care if the rest of the world doesn't
That's
see it or
yeah,
whatever.
that's a very good point. And I think people need to sort of realize this a lot more because we're seeing it so much as this fighting stuff, right? And,
Yeah.
and all that is saying you don't agree with my reality. This is my reality, and how dare you not agree? You've got to see life
Yeah.
as I see it, right?
Yeah. That's
But
selfish.
messages can be from you, right? What if the universe is talking to you, but the person next to you, they're not ready for the message, so they don't see it?
Yeah.
It's not about the person next to you, it's about you and yeah, your messages, I think.
Right. That's exactly right. It's like if you go to an art museum or watch a movie with a group of friends and you're all standing in front of a painting, and one person's like, this painting represents the love of dogs for cats or whatever, and then the other person's like, that's not what this painting represents. This painting complete obviously represents molecules getting together and forming bonds or whatever. Like, both of them are looking at the same thing and they're perceiving it through the filter of their own path,
Mm,
right?
So,
exactly.
So I just want to hear what they have to say, and I
mm,
and I just am free to share how I see it. Like, hey, and I'm just excited about it, not to trying to prove it. My perspective is right. I'm just saying, here's what I see. Oh my God, check this out. Can you see that? Look at that. There's this thing over here, and I'm just a kid. I'm excited to point it all out.
I mean, like, as we go through these sorts of personal explorations, like, it's very obvious that there's no end to this. Like, there's no end to any of this. This is like when I've always sort of understood the concept that we're the leading edge thinkers or leading edge creators, like, and like apply this to sort of these pathways we have all gone down, and think this is like an endless realm of never being able to get to a grand conclusion. We're never going to be able to
Yes.
get to the end of the story. This is a classic choose your own adventure novel. Like, it is literally never ending. And and it's always, you come across work where it's defined and it's definitive, and it's almost for a moment you go,
Yes.
I've
Right.
reached a conclusion, and then honestly 2 days later you're just like,
Back on the journey.
no,
Get back in the TARDIS. Hey, do you guys watch Doctor Who? Do you ever watch Doctor Who?
yeah, of
Yeah.
course.
Okay, I don't
One of
wanna
my first
spoil it. I
nightmares.
kinda okay, so are you caught up? Well, you know what? I don't want to spoil it for people or whatever, but I will say that it's a staple of whoever Doctor Who is to I how do I explain this? God, Doctor Who is like like watching the Bible on TV for me. Like I love it. Okay. I get so much out of it every single time.
Mm.
But recently something was sort of said. Basically, Doctor Who was like, hey, make a wish. Like make any wish you want. And I'm like, ooh, what's Doctor Who gonna wish for? And Doctor Who literally wishes, no, I'm not gonna say what essentially. I'm trying not to mess up on you guys' channel.
Come back and tell us. Come on. What is
Okay,
Doctor Who
okay.
wish for?
So basically, Doctor Who wished that it would continue on forever and ever because
Mm.
she was having a good time in that moment, and she knows, being eternal, that those moments are fleeting and they pass. So she wished for the moment to last forever. And I'm like, oh my God, that was not a good idea. Like this is the reason why you can't end it all and why you can't figure out who you are or whatever. But I mean, it's not good or bad, but it's sort of like that a reference to Brahma. In Hinduism, Brahma is the creator and multiplies and splits itself over and over and over to continue experiencing, when it could just end it like that. But if it ends it like that, we're all gone. And it loves us. And it's having so much of a good time because we are it. And it's getting to know itself, and it enjoys this whole thing. So that's why Doctor Who is like, I wish it would just go on and on and on and on. And there's a lot of Doctor Who episodes where it actually plays on that. There's this one where Doctor Who is trapped inside of this prison that's inside of some device or something. And he's on a castle. He's inside of a castle on this island where there's just water everywhere. And he lives the same day, like Groundhog Day or whatever, over and over and over, while death is chasing him and killing him every single day. It's all symbolic. I'm so sorry to like take us way off.
No,
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 fucking awesome. But hey,
deep.
I've just got to go and chase some chickens out of the shed again. So
Oh, shit.
1 second, everyone. Carry on, Campbell.
No worries.
Yeah. And also I think it's super interesting too, is all of these different subjects or areas. See, I see it like all of us truth seekers. Imagine, let's pretend that we all have a place, an island, okay? Island of truth seekers or whatever, right? Just like you're playing a video game like Skyrim or some RPG or whatever, you would have different little cities on your little map or whatever. And all of us truth seekers, we have all of our little cities, all of our little areas of expertise where we have studied, where we can contribute, where we can help those who are traveling and sojourning on the path so they can stop and get what they need from our particular region, right? And we're all continuously moving.
Yeah.
And to me, that island consists of all of these various topics. Tartaria, I was really excited about too, especially because when I first heard about Tartaria, the first thing I thought of was Tartarus in the Bible, because I started with the Bible, right? I'm like, Tartarus, Tartaria. And I'm looking at these maps and where the regions were, I'm like, they're all in the north. They're all like Tartarian is like up towards the north. And that was right around the time whenever I was, researching the North Pole and Hyperborea and people who came from the north. And I'm like, whoa, this is all, but wait a minute, what's the connection between all of these people called the Tartarians collectively, who seem to have spread out from the northern areas? What is the connection or their connection or the word itself to this concept of being inside of the earth, which is in Tartarus? So then I started a deep dive onto that. And I love seeing all these people like, wait a minute, who are the Tartarians? Why is this on the map? How come this wasn't taught in school? And I'm like, yes, that's awesome. I love that they're all rising up, you know what I mean, at their own paces.
So
It's
do you
so
see
good.
Tartarus as inside the earth as far as Hyperborea is inside the earth, as far as in the center of the circle rather than in a hole?
Okay, so I'll tell you how I see Tartarus being the place commonly known as like the bowels of the earth, right? In order for me to share it with you, I have to tell you what I think about the word itself. So back to etymology, right?
Yeah.
The original word, today people say tartar, but that's not the original, right? It's tat or tot, which are two separate words. The tot is the root of that word. So in order to know where Tartaria is, what it's related to, and how it's all related to those people, because it all stems from the root, right? The root is tat, T vowel T, T A T T O T. It almost doesn't really matter what the vowel is, in the modern language, right? It's the sound. It's the ta 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 ta, just like that. Okay, and there's two really interesting words that make a similar ta ta, like double consonant sound, that I'm very interested in right now. One is tat, or tet, or tot, or tot. Its pronunciation is different. The other one is kaka, or keke. It's more of like a K or a hard guttural kaka. Sometimes it's kaka, sometimes it's cha-cha, which leads to words like coconut and chicken and all these other words. And they all have a relationship to that root, which is het. But I'm going to actually get back to the Tartarian root. So tat or tet is the root of that word, right? If you look up the ancient glyph tet, which is actually a number and a letter in the ancient language of Phoenician, it's the number 9. Aleph bet Gimel Dalet. Wait, hold on. Aleph bet Gimel Dalet Hey Vav Zayin Het Tet. Yeah, it's number 9. So there's a lot of 9 symbolism that plays into this place of origin, to supernatural beings, to powers, to all sorts of things that are related, and resets and stuff too with the number 9. So that tet, let me just get back to this. The tar. Okay. So tar. If you go to the root tar, TR, it's directly related to the word tree in the ancient language. It's deru, right? And it's also related to, because that's the same root as the word druid. So the word druid has the exact same root, deru, as the word tree, as the word tar, which is why we have tar coming out of trees and stuff like that, right? So the Tartars, if we go with that spelling, means it's a redundancy, which means it's important. What it means is it's the tree of trees, is what Tartar means. It means the tree of trees. So Tartarian means those from the tree of trees, or those from the location where the tree of tree grows.
Nice.
I've never heard that before.
No,
Awesome.
neither have I. So they're Ewoks. There we go.
Yeah. That's cool.
Wow, the tree of life. And there's a lot of stories, and sorry, Cal, and also in some of the Hyperborean maps, you see where it connects to the earth, that to the the lands we know today. It literally connects to the top of Russia, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Where the Tartaria is, yeah.
Yeah. So the way that I connect that with Tartarus is that the world tree is Yggdrasil. The world tree is this, what I refer to as energy. Okay. I don't think it's actual tree that just grows like a regular tree. I believe it's energy inside of the earth, and it grows up, and it's got roots and stuff, various canals and systems that go from the hollow portions to the surface world. But the main trunk of it, the biggest hole, the biggest hollow entrance, is at the North Pole, at Mount Meru, in the center of the world. And whenever the energy of our world reverses, all of that energy shoots upward out of the central, some people call it a sun or whatnot, central energy area of the inner earth world, which, by the way, if you start studying, or if people, when I started to study the hollow earth and the many different stories about those who claim and allege to have been to the hollow earth, or to talk to people who had, many times they mention there's beams of light inside of the earth that lit things up, and they had different forms and stuff like that. But sometimes they come right out and say there was a vast light, a huge path of light that went through one central area or whatever. So anyways, that's the tree. That's the tree of life that grows up out from the ground, just like a tree, and it reaches up and it touches the sky and it branches out, and that's the tree of life. The tar, the original tar. So the tree of trees, the tartar, when it retracts and it goes downwards, it's associated with the inner earth where it lives. Just like Kong in that movie Kong versus Zilla, like he lived in the bowels of the earth and he's a giant, and it's related to gigantism and stuff like that, because it's a source of life and it amplifies life. It causes things to grow and flourish, etc. But anyways, that's the Tartarus, the Tartaros. The O's part at the end of Tartarus means strength. It comes from the word Oz, just like the Wizard of Oz. He is the wizard of strength. He's a strong wizard, basically. Actually, he's the wizard of the place of strength, I should say, which is Emerald City, which is descriptive of the North Pole.
Yeah.
So So, like looking at Tartaria, or the origin of the word, because there's been like lots of like the giant trees, the looking at sort of that notion of that there's been a split between, you know, the heavens above us, the earth we're on, and the one beneath us. Would that be symbolic perhaps of that word of the joining of those three realms, like the access point between those three realms, like the
Yeah,
yeah,
maybe not
because
just symbolic, but physical,
yeah,
actual,
physical, like
like
literally.
energy that connects our surface world, our plane of existence, to other planes of existence. It grows throughout all of them. It supplies energy to us all and affects us all. So it's the world tree or the cosmic tree.
Because
So
it's really, sorry, go on, Campbell.
essentially there is an outer space. It's just not what they tell us, and it's only open at certain
Yeah,
times.
it's outside of the dome. It's outer. It's outside. In order to have outer, you have to have a container. Like can't
Good
be
point.
outer
Yeah.
space. You know, otherwise, if you just look up and see space, people don't look up and see space. They look up and see the sky. There's a huge difference. You know what I mean? You look people, we're taught to look up and like look through the ceiling and just imagine what's out there. Just like those little pictures that they sell at the mall sometimes, those posters that don't make sense until you stare into them and then you start seeing things appear.
Yeah.
Like that's the sky.
Well, I mean, it's like it's really interesting how Tartaria the consciousness around this has broken through in the last sort of 5 years. Like, because it's essentially um physically demonstrated that sort of movement of energy. Like people have, you know, like
Yeah.
it's, I mean, like when I was looking at Hollow Earth, it was back in my sort of David Icke days, and like way 20 years ago, and I fucking loved it. And I was like, yeah, I was really into it. And I just love the fantasy angle of it. Probably Hollow Earth was my first look into reality is so much more magical than what we've been taught, you know. And
Yeah.
yes, all the light sources within the Middle Earth and the Hollow Earth and all those things. And yeah, I mean, it's really interesting, like 20 years on from those first sort of like touches on the fantastical nature of reality, we're now like sort of a lot of people have come through to this information through Tartaria breaking, which has been really fun because for the first time in all of our, because the truth seeking pathway is pretty lofty, you know, like it's a lofty abstract realm to dedicate your life to. But when Tartaria cracked, you could literally go and use your physical hands. You could go and actually see it with your own eyes. Like you could actually experience something very tangible. And that has enabled like us to go through to a new level of intangible, if that makes sense. Like it's so solid. Like you can go into these cities and literally see the remains of this thing
Yeah.
that doesn't relate to our thing, our culture, our whatever. And like, and it can take you into the most magnificent new levels of fantastical realizations. And it's quite mind blowing. Like
Yeah.
it, you know, and most people who enter the Tartarian realm, they're not coming in to get to the point of talking about elves and then talking about the mind of God. Like that's not really their entrance point. But here
Yeah.
we
They
all
took a
end
different
up.
bridge.
Been
It's a
hearing on
different
it. Yeah.
bridge. Yeah.
Mm.
So symbolically, energetically, Tartaria has really done an amazing job at, I don't know, it's not like it's opened up a new pathway. It's
Well,
just
it's a bit of confirmation, I guess, because there was so much, all this disclosure stuff. It's like you can't prove any of it, right? You just got to
does
believe
your head
someone,
in.
and it's all this belief. But let's just hope it happens. But like you said, Tartaria, you can go out and touch the buildings and kick them, and you can see the star forts, and so it's kind of like a
Yes.
bit of confirmation. Like, well, you can call me a conspiracy theorist, but explain that,
Yeah. And on top of explaining it, let's go there and let's explore it to the greatest extent of what we can. I'm
Yeah.
also super interested in like not just those buildings, but the ones where you can tell like that's energetically designed building. You know
Oh,
what I mean?
100%.
I really want to go under them. Like I
Yeah,
feel that most of those are
Oh, it's
probably
just
connected to catacombs and cave
definitely.
systems and stuff.
Yeah.
Have you do you watch Paul Cook at all? Have you heard of him?
Yeah. Oh,
Oh,
I
yeah,
just
you're on
found
the chat the other
his
day.
channel.
Yeah, that's right. You're in the chat.
Yeah, you're there with
Analog.
me.
Yeah, and waking up with analogs, the other
I
one.
love that one that he was doing the other day.
The
Man,
stuff they're finding, and this is what it looks like is happening. We sort of saw all the stuff on top, and we started talking about and across the realm. We all started talking about stuff below the surface, and now it looks like it's going down. because the stuff Paul Cook, a big shout out, go check out his channel if you haven't already. Like literally he's in Britain and he's finding these like just cave cities and all
Yeah, they're everywhere.
just out in the
Oh my
ocean.
God, everyone can do this. They're all
Everyone
over the
can do
place.
this. Exactly. We can all become explorers again, right? I mean, they lied to us.
Ah,
Now,
yeah, that's
That's
fucking
the cool thing, though.
Yeah,
Check it
that
out,
is the
guys.
cool thing. Yep.
Anybody can do this.
Yep.
That's why it's an honor for those of us who do.
Yeah.
Right? Because not everybody does it.
Yeah.
Anybody can, but we choose to. We jump on it. We're trailblazers.
It's so cool. It's so cool. Like where all this work has taken us all. My God, it's just like fantastical, magical. Like every little area of it is just, oh man. Do you ever get like it as we work through these pathways and these different doorways open and the different bridges? Like, do you ever feel like actually being here on Earth in your physical body feels a bit like cardboard? Like, does it actually impact on your day-to-day reality in a, like we're looking at such yeah. I mean, I go through those phases where I'm just like,
I try to snap out of those as fast as I can.
Yeah.
I think I go through phases where I feel so strange and alien in my own body or presence. I have to forcibly like kind of shake that off because I'm like, while that's true, this is my costume. Like just walking around. It's hard for me to pretend and be a part of the play when I'm so aware that it's of the fakery. You know what I mean? Like I need to keep a partition in my mind where I'm still me, but I acknowledge I'm a part of a play. I'm a part of a game. I'm a part of something. You know what I mean? So I need to see that through.
Yeah, we're become more like observers, like we can see it all, but we're not in it. We're just sort of more observing what's going on. That's kind of how I feel. And I mean, it's good segue. I wanted to ask is all these, I mean, obviously you do a lot of truth in movies, you look at a lot of movies and stuff.
Yeah, I just did one today. It was fun.
Yeah, oh, nice.
I love it.
And
they're great, everyone. Go check them out.
Yes, they are. They're really good.
They are really high level. Yep.
I noticed that with movies and TV and everything, really, it's sort of it's kind of telling us, right? It's going along with the information. It's like we used to have like Superman, right? We have like one superhero, and then he came from he was an 80 or whatever, came from somewhere else. And we had Batman, who was really just a dude, with, a few bits and pieces. And then we start getting like the X-Men, right? Or these mutants, right? They're a completely different kind of thing. And now a lot of the stuff's going into fractalverse stuff, right?
The multiverse,
new stuff. And so as we sort of uncover this knowledge and get new realizations, we're kind of shown this in the movies, right? They're kind of like, how do you see that? Is that, do you think that that's by design? Do you think that that's just the reality reflecting back to us going, yeah, you're on the right path?
Right. I'd say all of the above. I would check every single one of those. At the very top, I would check mind of God. It's a part of a purpose. It's a part of a plan. There's a goal to all of this. It all will ultimately at the highest level make sense. It's all connected. It's all a conspiracy. It's all a plan. It's all a book. It's all a story. It's all a CD, a movie, DVD, whatever. It's all that. It's already written. We're playing it out though, because it's fun to do so. Or there's a purpose beyond its fun. I just like to say that.
I mean, right? It's literally just new set, reset.
Yeah. You know what? I sort of have this running gag in my own mind. I don't share this with people because it might take me seriously. But I have this sort of running gag that the world will end when there's no more original movies.
That's next week, man.
Oh, we're verging. We're verging.
The same stories. Hey, can you guys excuse me for just a second? I need to get another drink.
Yes, go for it. Go for it.
All right, I'll be right back.
Yeah, wow, fascinating. So I mean, I definitely have been going through that cardboard feeling. I think that was part of my grumps over the holiday at Cambell, where I've just been looking around going, this earth is so annoying and dumb. Like I've just been like, everything about it is so annoying and dumb. Like, because, I lost my license because I didn't vote. Like, that's just fucking annoying and dumb. And it's just like a metaphor for so much that goes on this plane. And it's just like you cross-reference it with sort of like these bodies of work, and it's just like they're worlds and worlds apart.
Yeah, that's it. And that's the biggest thing, you know, like all these rules, right? But you know, this whole attitude of, and we saw it heaps at, you know, 2 years ago. Oh, we just do it, just, you know, we don't want to cause a fuss, and that's how we got here. That's how we got to the point where we've got to pay, you know, the government, and we know what they are, money to drive our cars on our roads because
Mm,
everyone goes, oh, it's okay, it's okay. I
mm,
don't want to cause a fuss. Bugger that. I mean, this whole license thing, it's going to be interesting to see what happens with it. But this is all part of the movement, right? Again, you know, like we need to get out of these systems of, you know, licensing and registration. So, you know, everyone's like, oh, it's so bad. The government, oh my God, they're taking away everyone's license. Well, really? How about all those people get out and drive, and there's more people on the road driving without
ah,
licenses than police, then we win, right? What are they going to do?
Oh, I wish it was that simple because it's so like because like you don't have a license and you can't get third party, you can't get insurance, then you can't be in someone else's
Well,
car, then
I've,
you fucking it
I've
just
heard
is
you can get insurance.
ugh,
But of course, that's another conversation. We need to talk about PMAs.
yeah.
But that's
I was
another
just having a
conversation.
bitch, Jay, because I my license got suspended because I
Oh
didn't
no.
vote. Because I didn't vote in Australia. If you
Ah,
don't vote, you lose your license, your driver's license.
what?
Yeah,
That's
Yeah,
it's called
yeah,
ridiculous.
it's called
yeah. It's
God.
non
compulsory to vote here, and
Oh, pff.
it's
in the
called
last couple of elections,
non-elective democracy.
yeah,
How's that for an
It's all crazy.
oxymoron?
I know.
Non-elective democracy. That cracks me up.
Yeah.
I think that sums up reality.
That reminds me of Monty Python. Every time I hear this kind of conversation, when the
Oh,
king's
yeah,
like,
yeah. That's
I'm your king.
Yeah.
We didn't vote for you. Like, we had no say so in that. Who are you?
who are you?
I
Yeah,
actually
yeah.
just got a ticket too. I got a
Yeah.
ticket for my car not being registered. And then I was trying to explain what that means to my son. And I'm like, well, what it really means is even though you bought your car and own it and it's yours, they still make you pay for it forever. And if
Yeah.
you don't pay for it forever, they don't let you drive and stuff. And I'm like, isn't that insane?
So I mean, like
That-
that sort of crazy stuff that we exist in. Like, I mean, I just find it really annoying and dumb, right? So I just like it, and it really is such a juxtaposition to the work that we talk about here. And
Yeah.
it's just like you couldn't get two worlds apart. Like, why? How did we end up in this situation? Like, what is the grand design of this moment? Here we are in a world that is like literally so annoying and dumb and so unsmart in every single way. And then we've
Yes.
got like these amazing new doorways to consciousness that are just like off the radar intelligent. And it's just like it's hard to balance it, It really is.
Well, imagine imagine how all of us individually feel now that where we can start to recognize and see things that like, some people are waking up and the world's crazy and messed up and diametrically opposed and it's leading towards something. That's only with the few years, however old each of you are. Okay. In comparison to,
Yes.
imagine you had a much longer lifespan. Imagine how much different it would affect our character individually, our peace of mind, our knowledge,
Mm,
all the ups and downs that we would go through, having lived much longer. Right now, we're as fast as we can trying to scoop up all the information because time is short.
mm,
What happens
mm.
whenever you extend the lifespans like those of the elven race? Right? They're
Yes,
said to be so wise and smart and this and that. I might be too if I was 623 years old, you know what I mean, or whatever. I also might be less inclined to be immature and I might compose myself a bit more and I might seem more standoffish or a little cold hearted. But in reality, I'm just examining and I've learned my way over hundreds
Mm,
and hundreds of years. I think that
mm,
we could see things a little differently.
mm,
mm.
mm.
And
So,
like,
And we can look back real far too on the way things were. You know what I mean? Imagine how much you've seen has changed already in your short lifespans.
yeah,
Imagine living for hundreds of years.
yeah.
I mean, by design, I guess. So, all right, look, I'm just going to
So
ask something I want to ask on the elf dwarf
do it.
topic, random, because you mentioned just before, Jay, that the dwarves are not fans of war. Now, I was wondering from that perspective, like, because some of the stuff we were looking at was saying that the elf and dwarven race, whether they're the same or, the dwarfs higher in the, apex maybe than the elves. That, or how. Anyway, I don't know. I'm just that's basically. But I was wondering, like, because something I read was that they basically have a perpetual war between them, like an organic war that
yeah.
no one has any understanding of its origin or why it even exists. So they're like frenemies. They're like
Right.
enemy friends that like
Yeah.
coexist on that nature. Now, I was wondering from that perspective, would that relate to the polarization that we experience here on Earth? Like, if we had the light elves, the dwarfs, and they're like having some magical war, and we're in the middle of all of that, like reflecting it back and putting it into consciousness for them on their behalf, like, does that equal our version of polarization, duality, polarity that we experience here?
Yeah, I mean, from the fractal verse perspective, it's all connected, and yeah, absolutely, it's definitely related, and it has whatever the one does has actions and consequences to the other. But on a smaller level, I believe that there are various families of humanoids, right? We're an extension of a particular family, and they all have their family lines and histories and trees and stuff like that. But for example, you've got the race of humanoid beings, according to the legends, that descend from above.
Yes.
But then we also have a race of humanoid beings that
came.
arise from below,
Yeah.
right? The ones that come from below traditionally are always the dark ones. They're always the things that come from within the earth have a darker hue to them in comparison to the ones that descend from above. The ones that descend from above are white almost all the time. They're described as white or bright or light beings, or they're typically white in color, not Caucasian or anything, but they're white, like albino animals are white. You know what I mean?
Like emanating a glow from within,
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
And so I also have a theory that they very well may be related to one another as well. And as they branch off into different directions based on different environments that they have, right? They adapt and they start to change, and they almost become different, you know what I mean, in comparison, while keeping their similarities, like the Vulcans and the Romulans, or you know what I mean? I have a theory that the vampire race in fiction, that there's a root to the vampires, and that they go all the way back to the elven race.
Definitely.
Which are the white skin people that live forever, etc. That they always have a war with the werewolves, the werewolf race, right?
Yeah.
And it comes right from our subconscious. Every time we almost want them to be related. Like we always start writing that in, and even if it doesn't come out and say, "Oh, you're my brother, aren't you?" No, we want the werewolf to be in the story or to make an appearance with the vampires, or vice versa, because we know that they are related to one another somehow. So, for example, here's a way that they could be related, and this applies to elves or gods or angels or whatever the other entities, humanoid entities are, right? Is let's say you have an elf, and the elf or vampire or whatever it is immortal. It is one of the immortality people or whatever. They live forever. They've lived for a long time. Imagine what it's like for them to not change while we are on fast forward, super changing, going real fast or whatever, right? Or in comparison to those beings that change rapidly, or who are used to changing rapidly. I think that the brakes are going to be slowing down on our aging process pretty soon. But they are immortal. So imagine what it's like over time, right? For them to start growing a beard or going through puberty, or maybe whenever you're like 1,000 years old or something, like, depending on the conditions, if the conditions are not supporting you remaining and keeping your rejuvenated young skin and look and stuff, you might grow into a pretty weird, strange looking, hairy creature or whatever, with ears that don't stop growing and a nose that doesn't stop growing. And you know what I mean? Like, you could look kind of different in those situations, or even just, living underneath the earth, being away from the sun, and all of these conditions that are up here. People start to adapt and change, you know what I mean? Pretty quickly, I think. Just over a couple of generations, they start changing.
So are we
going very quickly?
Yeah, go.
Family trees.
I was about to say that. Yes.
Why they called family trees?
Exactly.
Right? Lead back to the tree.
Yeah. Back to the tree. And you know, what was it? Some bodies work with calling the Nephilim the giant trees. You know, the trees, those trees, big, massive feature in all of this.
Yeah.
Book of Enoch, I think that was, yeah.
Oh, and Enoch also super helped me out, getting me into the hollow earth portions, reading about him going down into the inner earth regions and how there's like these separations and stuff down there, and there's giants down there and stuff. What a great read, the Book of Enoch.
Yeah.
So are
Isn't it?
elves giants? Are elves giants?
I mean, my first answer, I want to say yes, they are, but that's only in comparison to us today. We
Yeah.
used to be
Yep.
giants. You
Yep.
know what I mean? And I believe that gigantism is going to return to this world. So those beings that come down from above, and even those ones that might come up from below, they live in different environmental conditions that support a longer lifespan and support, whatever it is that rejuvenates the skin and the body and everything, and allows us to stay refreshed more often. They live in those conditions. When they come down in here, and then the electromagnetic barrier of our world allows them in, and the doors are open, they get stuck and it shuts off, and they're stuck in here. And then the conditions start changing in this world, because it has opened up and allowed some of those otherworldly conditions in here to change our world for a time, making it more fantastic. But then as those conditions start to change, they start to die. They start to experience aging and stuff like that. And they have a panic, and they try to get out, and they want to get out of here and leave this world. You know what I mean? So traditionally, the Elvins race, the vampires, Nordics, aliens, races, and stuff like that, they're world hoppers, they're world skippers. They come to a world, they may develop a family and stuff like that, which they might end up leaving behind, but there's a serious group of them that is like, we're skipping, we're gonna slide from realm to realm.
Sliders, oh, nice.
So,
So,
all right.
okay.
All right, no, go Campbell. And then I'm going to go get it out, buddy.
God, what was I going to say? I've forgotten, Kelly. So you go.
We're pretty good at syncing up our responses without talking on top of each other. I was just gonna just bring it back to being here on planet Earth in this moment. Do you think that we are in the middle of a magical war?
Yeah, I think we always are. It's just, where are we on the, on the frequency? Everything's a frequency. So it's a wave and a pattern that goes up and down and undulates. So, there's just different places in that war where we are. The war is polarity.
Yep.
It's not a war against those who are on the other side from us. It's a war to ascend above that position of polarity and that perspective of difference. And I think it happens a lot. And there's times when we're more in tune and more aware because the energy is shifting, and times where we descend and entropy kicks in and everything starts breaking down and the energy is seeping from the world, and then it will be restored.
So if we follow the middle path,
on the Middle Earth,
on the Middle Earth, I mean, for one, that kind of breaks us out of the physicalness and of this reality, right? Because we're not so in it, we're sort of not judging good or bad in that. Like, do you think if once we hit, because there's all this talk about ascension and ascending and that, can we hit a point where we can leave and become world hoppers? Like because the thing is,
I think
we
so.
have all this, we talk about these people, these races, and they come in and they draw they seem to have all this knowledge that we clearly don't have.
At the moment.
So yeah, is that
and a passport and a magical passport?
And a passport, yeah, man. And a remote control door opener, maybe.
Harriet Jones.
Yeah. And so we seem to be stuck in here with some very aggravated dark elfy type people who trying their best to get out, right? And they're just like chucking fits all over the place and like, well, if we can't get out now, you're all going to do what we tell you to do, kind of thing.
Yep. Oh, is that your question?
The end.
So I think it is my plan at the moment to be a world hopper. So for example, in my plasma apocalypse theory that I talk about, let's say that the apocalypse happened, I don't know, next year. right? If it happens next year and I happen to survive, then according to this theory, I would also be imbued with certain powers and abilities. One of those is an extended lifespan.
Mm.
I fully intend on continuing my path that I'm on now, taking centuries if needed to figure out how to leave and to make those things happen. There
Mm.
are people in this world right now whose families seem to have been working on ways to get out of here for very many long years, and
Yep.
their families are developing technology, and their families are building rockets and spaceships and putting stuff up in the sky and stuff. And
But
I
why is it
feel
so
like
hard? Why is it so hard?
it's not.
I mean,
I
like,
mean, well,
why is
it
it
just
so?
depends, I guess.
I mean, if we have superpowers, then we can just fly, right? We don't need the rocket ship, hopefully.
But what's the
Yeah,
how did it end up being so difficult? That's like my question. Like we look at, if we just take it down to a 3D, real 3D level question, like,
right,
we look at there's clearly obviously an agenda that's going on this realm. It's obvious to everyone,
right.
there's, family trees that are behind that agenda. I mean, are we going to like set up the premise that they have their origins in the original dwarf elf like phenomenon, or root origin? But like now for us here on this realm, like it's very difficult to do anything. Like it's not like we can move around freely. I mean, I'm not just talking literally as in your license is suspended, but like magically, as in like, we can like literally hop realms or move out. And the beings that have been here for many, and I agree, I think there's beings on this realm that are, you know, maybe 1,000 years old, like, and have like moved through family generations, sort of like just reincarnating into that same family
Mm.
bloodline potentially, and they're still encased here and not able to. I mean, is it just a frequency issue? And then why do we have the
I'd say
frequency
so.
issue?
Yeah, I'd say it all begins with with frequency, or I just say it's thought. Really, it's just thought patterns or frequencies. But those frequencies, like I said, they move in cycles and waves and waveforms, right? So that's kind of like if you can't see super far out, and if you're a toddler or something and you go to the beach, if you're standing where the beach meets the water or a little further out, you might ask yourself, why is it so crazy right now? Why is the ocean so mad, etc.? Why is it such a dangerous place, etc.? But if you were able to make it past that, you can get to the calm. You know what I mean? That's just the place where the waves crescendo and crash. That's where we live in the cycle of time right now. That's what the energy is doing. The energy has flipped and it has gone the other direction into entropy, and negativity and all of that stuff for a purpose and for a needed reason, I like to believe.
Mm.
And then time will come when it will reverse. It will go the other way. And all of the evil people in the world will say, God, why is this happening? Why is everyone so
Everyone's
cheesy
so
and loving and
nice.
this and that and getting together? I can't stand it, you know?
Mm. And we kind of need both, right? There's that saying, good times, what is it? Hard times create strong men create good times create weak men. So it's like if everything was perfect all the time, what would we do? It's like the time machine when he goes back in time and they're all just sitting around, right? And nothing ever happens because,
Right.
so because they got it too good. So it's like, we can enjoy the good times, but there comes a point where we've got to go, hang on, if you keep doing this, you got to sort of
Yes.
go into entropy anyway, right? So we need to
Yes.
wake you up. You go through the crap, and then at the end of the crap, you're like, bugger this. I just want the good times back. How do I create that again? So
Right.
I can kind of see how, in the bigger schemes, how that would, make sense.
Yeah, the troubling times refine us and they make us better. They
Mm.
help us. So I thought of a funny story when you said like, well, what are we gonna do when everything's just perfect or whatnot, right? And we're content with everything. Speaking of the beach, my brother and I used to go to the beach. And I remember a day when we went, there was no waves. It sucked. I hated it. There's just no waves whatsoever. We wanted to play in the waves and there would be an element of danger or whatever. So we started talking trash to the ocean and I would like smack the ocean and we would hit in the ocean and pretty soon some waves started to come and stuff like that. But my point is that it was no fun when there was no disturbance. We wanted the disturbance, we wanted to, upset something a little bit so there can be a
Mm.
change
Yeah.
because when there's
Yeah.
change, there's adventure.
Yeah, yeah. It's like that scene from, what is it, the Bruce Willis movie, The Fifth Element, is it? And he's sitting in his
Yeah.
office and he's like, look, nothing's happening. And he just pushes his glass off and it smashes.
Yes.
Look now, chaos. Look at all these machines cleaning it up.
Yeah,
Look,
yeah, yeah.
stuff
Oh
happening.
yeah, yeah. I
Yeah.
like that scene.
Well, we love a good storm. That's exactly why, humanity loves catastrophes. We love chaos. Like, it's regenerating for us. It's regenerating in nature always.
Well, I mean, look at what humans do. You know, all these things like, base diving, cliff jumping, cave diving, storm
Yeah.
chasing. You know, even if you're not doing it, you want to watch someone do it, right? So we're definitely, that sort of element of danger and destruction, and it's definitely
Yeah.
something that we seem to be attracted to, right?
But how did we get here? Like, how did we end up here?
You
And,
sent us a link on Zoom.
yeah, well, I don't know, that could be quite a metaphor. There you have Campbell. But literally, like, here we are, this race called humanity, neither elven or dwarfen, we're humanity, and we're here on the earth, and
Right.
like, and it's a really annoying place. Beautiful, yes. Nature's amazing, yes. Generally annoying on many other levels. And here we
Right.
are. And here we are, and we've dedicated our lives to, you know, working this shit out, hoping
Yeah.
it's going to. I mean, why? Why do we do this? Why do we do this? And how did we end up here?
It's more interesting than a job.
A nice broad question for everyone.
Right. I'll tell you what resonated with me when the Colburn Bible addressed the exact same question. It was talking about how these various worlds are schools of thought, and that there's schools for us designed to improve and to sort of level up spiritually and energetically in order to ultimately know ourselves better, right? So the one that we're in is a particular school of thought. There's a particular focus, there's a particular point behind all of it, all of the bad stuff that's happening, all the good stuff that happens. And it's not a vacation. It's not designed, it's a school. I mean, we get breaks and stuff, you know what I mean? But it's not heaven. Like, heaven is the resting place out there, you know what I mean? Like, heaven is the in-between schools. It's the home world or whatever. But what it talks about is we spiritually, that's what we are, is spirit, right? I think most religions sort of allude to that who you are is a spirit, and that spirit is a part of God, etc. So the spirit, in order to enter into the schools of thought, right? I mean, there's different ways, right? But you can enter it spiritually, in which case you're an apparition, you're energy, you're just entering energetically. This world is not designed for us to go through those classes energetically, just ghosting around all over the place. It's designed physically. It's a physical place. So we have to put on a physical costume. So according to the Colburn Bible, and this is just one reference, we were made here. We put on our clothing here, that the earth made what we call these bodies, and the human race, that we were born out of the earth itself, that's all it could use, really, is itself, just like God can only use itself for pieces and parts and stuff. But we came from outside of the world. That's why there's a part of us that enjoys this place, but doesn't feel that it's like home to the spirit. You know what I mean? Because it's not, I mean, it's very spiritual. So according to the Colburn Bible, we literally were made from mud, like that the spirit formed throughout the materials that the earth had to offer. And it started to form clay figurines, essentially, and then breathed life into them, which is energy or spirit or matter or whatever. And it's really interesting because it seems to indicate this all happened at the North Pole, at where those trees grow, where those cosmic trees grow, which is
and
the
those
main
elves
area,
live.
and the elves and the dwarves and the pygmies and Skraeling and
Pygmies. Yeah, I was thinking about
mammoths.
that the other day. Pygmies. Have you seen that map of Oz? And it looks like Hyperborea and the
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Do you have it? You should
and
share it.
No, I don't have it around. No,
It's
I'll
really
find it and I'll put it
spot
up on the
on.
screen. I'll
Isn't
do
it
some
spot on?
creative editing. But you know how we always see the pygmies
I'm gonna find that.
in Oz? They've got the Munchkins, right? Land of the Munchkins.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Same thing. So it's
Boom.
It's the Wizard of Oz, man. I mean, who wrote that? I mean, some guy, and we're told he got the name because he looked at his filing cabinet and the bottom one said O to Z. And he's like, oh, Oz, yeah, man. I mean, that's got to be a suspect story, doesn't it?
I'm gonna share my screen and show that map real quick.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, let's check it out.
Is it this one? I
So
think this is
Campbell,
it.
like, what inspires you, brother?
What inspired? Oh, gosh.
Hmm.
It's
Yeah.
just change, isn't it? I mean, it's like we've been talking about, we're all in this strange place. It doesn't feel quite right. We know we can make it better. So that's, I mean, I don't know about you, but I don't know if I could stop, right? It's kind of just the thing, right? It's who I am is I've got to just keep going and trying to change things and keep ignoring people who tell me they can tell me what to do.
Yeah.
You know, be a thought in the butt of authority. That's my job, I think. There you go. Oz.
That's such a
Yeah.
classic funny map. I love it.
It's even got the land masses
I
around the
know.
outside.
You see it?
Similar.
So check this out. I'm gonna compare it. Let's compare it. Well,
Yeah,
where's the
it's-
Mercator?
It's a trip.
Oh, flat. I'll just type in. All right, cool. So let's show that you
Yeah.
show everybody. Open in the new tab. Boom. All right, so pal, this is so blurry. God.
It's all right.
All right, so we got boom. Here is the North Pole map, pal. Maybe pull out just a tad. Damn it. Sorry. All right, boom. There it is. And then let's compare it to Oz. So
Yeah.
pal, you got Emerald City right here in the middle, right? With a little black dot or whatever that is. This is the Munchkin country over here, right? So if this blue area right here is the Munchkin country, this section, it relates to this section right here. You can't see because it's blurry, but it says this is where the pygmies live.
Pygmies, yeah.
Yep.
Right there. And then you've got the central located Emerald City, the Green City or whatever. I'm not going to read all the rest of these right now, but this is also really interesting to check out that around it is the impassable desert.
Yeah.
All the way around. In this other map, in our world,
Yeah.
is the impassable ocean, essentially, that goes to the ends of the earth.
Yep.
My theory that I talk about is that the oceans are removed. So one day, this map right here should look like this map right here, where this is a desert land. You see?
Interesting, isn't it?
Yeah.
The land of EF.
Yeah, I mean, they're identical, really.
That's a terrible one. I don't like that. I hate it when the pictures are blurry.
So this is the thing, is they kind of show us, right? They tell us, but it's up to us to make that decision. It's almost like, are we strong enough to believe ourselves, right? And just to have a backbone and stand up and go, yeah, I believe that, because everything that's presented that is truth is presented as fiction, right? That's what they do, right? No, it's not true. It's not true. And so so to believe these kind of things, we've literally got to go against the mainstream, right? Because they're all telling us we're idiots. So I think that's a big bit of it, is we need to believe in ourselves, right? We need to go, yeah, actually, I've come to this conclusion, and I'm going to back myself this time, rather than, just call myself stupid and go with what everyone else says, who clearly have never even looked into this topic,
Well, I mean, Campbell, like, if this is just an experience similar to a game, then you have to constantly be making choices to move that game forward, right?
Yeah,
and that's not really a team effort. That's just sort of an individual player on player game, That's sort of like how I mean, is that the grand summary here, that this is literally
maybe we're all racing each
into
other.
a game?
Maybe we're all racing and competing against each other.
Yeah. That's right.
Maybe it's a team group effort. Who
Well,
knows?
it's kind of true, because like you get to certain topics and questions, and then you seek other people on that same topic or question, and then you have these shows like this, and we like contacted Jay. We're into the elves, like he's there 7 years ago. It's cool, he's still around. We'll go talk to him, like, and then you sort of like, you're on to that next like chapter, that next level. It's so similar to a game. I mean, is this it? Is this what this is? Jay, is that what is your grand conclusion, my friend? Where are you at in this realm?
So I feel like this particular earth that I live in right now, um, I personally, a part of my, I believe that we have like levels of goals, right? There's like the main goal and there's all these side quests and stuff like that. The main goal is to return to unity, to traverse the veil of separation and the illusion of separation and division
Mm.
and stuff like that, and to return to unity in self, right? I feel like that's the goal. I feel like the evil side knows that and they want everyone to be on the same page, and the good side knows that and they want to be everybody on their same page or whatever. To get beyond that so that good and evil can meet and to see one another as self is one of the highest goals in all of the different realms everywhere. This particular local realm, I feel, and I've always felt, um, sort of placed here to help.
Yeah.
I as much as
Mm.
humanity has really rubbed me the wrong way sometimes.
I know, right? That's the
You
worst
know, like
bit, man.
I
I'm just
still
trying to
think they're
help.
adorable and cute, and like I want to experience and continue on, developing myself. But in between times, I celebrate inside when I see
Mm.
little victories for good in individuals or groups or whatever, and I'm here for that. But I'm also, I feel like, a part of me is going to see the apocalypse, and that's a major part of why I'm here and why I feel so safe and I'll be taken care of. And like I'm ready to help out people after cataclysms. I'm ready to help out people before them to get them prepared so they're not caught off guard and freaking out. At least some, at least some people.
Mm.
And yeah, I don't know. Like, I mean,
Then on to a new adventure.
I just
Yeah.
like helping. Oh, I did pull up the Colburn Bible. I couldn't get it up earlier, but I pulled it up and I pulled up all the different dwarf references too.
So
Um,
basically, service and unification.
Yeah, definitely.
Mm.
Well, I mean, I also have like little sub things that I work on in this avatar too. We call them problems, like
yeah,
issues,
challenges.
like all my little personal issues and stuff like that. But those are like way at the bottom. Those are little bonuses for me instead of being little, things I hate. They're little treasures that I have that I
Mm.
continuously can chip away to refine myself.
It's definitely a game then. Is it World of Warcraft? It's like we're here to level up, but along the way we've got instances we can do and little, these little sort of challenges and stuff. But I mean that's what it feels like, definitely to me,
Oh,
is it feels like I'm here for a reason, right? But and
yes.
that can't be changed. I think in the end my path can't be changed. But yeah, there's all these little side things along the way that we have choice over and that we can kind of interact with. But in the long run, I think I'm kind of destined to end up somewhere.
Well, like the truth seeking pathway, like ultimately, like if we take it down to its, bare meaning, it's just to broaden one's perception, right? We're just constantly broadening our views and broadening our attitudes and broadening ourselves out, which is seems to be the pathway to like getting to that unification. Like you have to go really, 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 really out there broad to like be able to
To see
like
it's all
bring,
one.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And and then
Yeah.
in the middle of all that, be kind and good and help out. I don't
Oh,
know.
Try and not get too pissed off.
are you guys gonna wrap it up right now, or do you want me to share these little dwarf things
No,
or at
go
another
for it,
time?
man.
Yeah, let's do a few dwarf
Yeah.
things and then we'll
Let's
wrap it up.
end it on the dwarf
Okay.
things.
All right, so check this out. This is from the Colburn Bible. I'm just going to read a few
Yeah.
references to the dwarf
Awesome.
race. It says, "To the rim of the great circle he went." This person was on a journey to where the fires of the netherworld were revealed, and men were the brothers of dwarfs.
Mm.
So that was one reference. We got another one that says, much further along, it says, "To the north of the wilderness, the land is occupied by deformed men and dwarves." It's got another one, and I think when it's references the wilderness, remember how I showed you the North Pole map and it had the sea in a circle
Mm.
around it or
Mm.
whatever? If you remove that sea, instead of a sea, it's a wilderness. It's a desert. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It says here, his companions were the dread, loping whale wolves of death. Whale as in crying out.
Ew.
Whale wolves. That sounds a lot like a werewolf.
Werewolf.
Yep.
Yeah.
The werewolf, the whale wolves of death. But now none knows the meaning behind the tale. We do know that Malvus, a person, was the forefather of the dark dwarves. Boom. Matter of fact, right there. Another reference. It says, let's see, this one. The sister of Neptorin, which was a person, was Sowithi of the Fair Isle. So they were from a place called the Fair Isle, or the Island of the Fair, who married Lugod Hardhand, the Hammerer, who taught the working of bronze and was the father of our people. It is told how he was shot in the thigh by a dwarf's arrow, and how every year at Samhain, or Samhain, the deep wound opened and erupted a vile venom which dropped off to dry into a gray powder. So the point about that one, I just want to point out, is the weaponry, right? The dwarves in the Colburn Bible were said to be like dart blowers, basically. Like they had these poison darts and stuff that they could. I don't know if they blew them. I think they might have thrown them. I can't remember. But they were dart experts. They had poison darts, and they made poison. Like they made these little
we came across that
areas
as
and
well.
elixirs.
Yes,
Yeah, lots of potions and poisons and stuff. Yeah.
Nice.
And
Yeah.
fucking, there was something I was reading yesterday. I'm not going to remember it. And when the entity, the god being, bled, a special, something would come out of his skin, and it would become a powder, and that powder was like manna, like it was
Almost all manner. Yeah.
something like this. What was I reading? That's just weird that you just said that then. Something similar. Yep.
Here's another one. It says, but these were dwellers in the north, while southward were the dark, short-legged dwarf men known as the Oben. It goes on to say, none knows who led the dwarf men here, though men do say that the land spawned them. Let's see, the land is good, etc. The dwarfmen sat in caves, eating children as a part of their evil feasting. They had no priests, only dwarfesses called the Ketin, meaning the raven adopted. And there was a great one above others called the Harada, who lived in a smoky cave called the Hegrin, which reminds me of that giant from Harry Potter. There was dwarf maidens, devilish dwarf maidens it talks about. There was the dwarf isle, the whole island of dwarves. Here we go. The dwarf men, both north and south, were skins wattled, though sometimes wearing nettle-cloth clothes of black or brown, like the cat, the dove, the dog, etc. They ate toadstools, berries, some other stuff, wayweed. It says the dwarf men still living among us in the forest depths and the caverns under the earth, though none here has seen one. See, I like that he puts that. He's not saying, obviously it's not true. He's just saying like they do live here. They're underneath the ground, but we just haven't seen them in a long time. Anyways, there's many other references to the dwarven people.
Nice.
So does that
Isn't that
lead?
cool?
Does that connect? Again, 3D question. Satanism with dwarfism.
I guess it depends on what you
connection?
mean by Satanism.
Well, I mean, like just sort of like that sort of,
Like
you know,
the dark arts.
yeah, the dark arts, the dark magic, the dark rituals, the dark sacrifices, the blood, the children, all of that stuff.
Well, earlier it referenced some dwarf eating some child or something like that.
Yeah. Caves and...
Just I would say take that with a grain of salt, because that's something that sort of scrapes our our sense of what's normal for them. We do that as humans to animals, and like there's also cannibals, and there's like it's not really that far of a stretch. So I wouldn't say it's good or bad just because somebody's eating, whatever it is that they eat, whatever their diet is. We would see it as evil or satanic if they're eating us. Like eat something else, we don't really care. You know what I mean?
Good point,
so I don't personally, I don't know. Whenever the word satanic and Satanism or whatever is kind of thrown around, that's where if I'm in the conversation, I start like seeing if we can define what we mean by those words, because they've been interpreted so differently and they're so open to interpretation by so many, just like saying God.
Definitely.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely. But that darkness, that seems to be prevalent
Yeah,
here
for
on the
sure. There's
realm. I'm wondering
definitely
if it's
Control
if it's
factor, yeah.
connected. Like if we go past this,
right.
what are they worshipping? What is the worshipping
It seems
point?
like they have access to magic. It
Yeah.
seems like they practice and have an understanding, at least
Yeah.
to a certain degree, of magic. And
Mm.
that would stand to reason if there's magic in the earth underground, closer to the source where they live down there.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah. Well, fucking excellent, man. Like, great conversation, Jay. I
Oh
haven't
my
asked you
God.
any of the questions, but like,
No,
I
no,
don't even
yeah,
know what
you
we
had
talked about
questions
yet. But
written
like,
down
oh,
and
it's good.
everything.
It was good. Hope everyone enjoyed that. Again.
I know we did hit the elves at the dwarves at the very end, at least, but yeah, no, we covered a lot of ground in that conversation, so that was awesome.
Let's
I have
do
to
it
get
again
back for
sometime.
part two, mate.
Yeah, man. Awesome. Total pleasure to deep dive into your mind, Mr. J
Mm.
there. Like excellent, fantastic consciousness you have and are gifting the world. Like I wish you so much like success in all you do, man. Like you
Mm.
have a beautiful, wonderful, big, awesome mind. And it's just I love wiring and firing with this level.
Mm.
So thank you so much for being on the show with us and coming to Australia for the day.
Yeah.
Indeed.
I
We're
like
Of
it.
headed.
I
course.
love Australia.
Don't forget, guys, link below, go across, check out his work and give him a like, a subscribe, all that stuff. Check out his live streams, great fun, great energy, high vibe tribe, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, and listen, I know that I'm going to receive a whole pile of emails of questions that we haven't asked you. So like if I get a big pile, I'm just going to forward them on to you, Jay. And if you're
Well,
inspired to
no. Don't forward them on to me. Hold
don't
on.
forward them on.
I'll come back.
We'll
All
do a
right.
part two.
You just ask me.
Yep. All right, cool. All
Next
right,
time
man.
we'll be organized and you'll sit there and we'll just fire rapid fire questions at you.
Mate, total pleasure, Jay. Thank you so much. And you have a beautiful night in Colorado and Campbell. Well, welcome to 2023, show number 1 for the new year. And let's see where we're at next week, hey?
Awesome. All right, Jay's gone. Nice.
Wow.
There you go, guys. Thanks for spending some time with us. We'll see if we can get Jay back in a month or two and get a bit further. And then I've got some more stuff coming up on elves in the future. And yeah.
I mean, because like, it's interesting, Campbell, to sum up the show there. Like, as we talk to Jay, you kind of get to that level with this conversation where it's like, okay, all right, elves and dwarfs, here we are. Yes, here we are. And then it's like you sit there for a day or two and it's like, all right, we've hit an answer, right? And then that answer starts to agitate you, starts to irritate. Like, this is what happens to me. It's just like you get that moment of relief and then it's like, like what about this and what about this, and this is too limited. Like I'm getting caught on a limited idea here. Like this may absolutely be the truth, I think this is the truth, but like there's way more. And like where does this all actually fit in? Like I can't rest. And like I think with where Jay comes in, it's great because he also can't rest in that space, like he's wanting to go to that I still don't feel like I have any conclusion as to why we are here. Like, how did we get so stuck and that we can't actually, do much? Like, we're pretty limited. And then I have to remember, no, this is beautiful. This is an amazing experience. We're fucking here, man. Like, how cool's
But it's
Earth?
also pressure, right? The pressure's building. Until it
Yep.
goes pop. People are just getting frustrated until they're not going to put up with this anymore.
Yep.
And I always think of that verse, I think it's from the Bible, is it? When they were saying that the gods were looking down and the people on earth were so annoyed and making so much noise and going, that they had to come down and, well, I think that's when they flooded the world, wasn't it? That was the last reset.
Shut up, Campbell. No.
Yeah, so we don't want to flood this time. Don't flood us. Don't flood. But then he said they'll never flood us again. So
I mean, it's just such a. To be honest with the audience, I'm starting 2023 with a slight agitation. Like, I'm not sure where we're going next. It's just like, I don't really, it's amazing to keep this journey on. And I know that it's so much fun. And obviously we got the lives coming up and I fucking love all that shit. But what's it all about, brother? Like,
it is. I think we're getting close.
you reckon?
I think we're getting to the point where we're starting to really see what's going on here, and so the answers become more, I don't know, become more real, become slower. I just, yeah, I mean, because everything we touch seems to be confirmed, right? We talk about it like a topic, and then a movie will come out on it, or something will come out, or it's all the time. It's like the universe is saying, yeah, you're on the right path, and all this pressure. I just don't see that it can go on that much longer. Something's got to go pop, man.
I mean, like, when does it go from us exploring it and putting the pieces together and building this tangible
So
conscious pathway to actual
just
physical
living it.
expression?
Mm.
No,
Yeah.
like here we are, like cracking through this I don't know, delusion or like cloak of the elf dwarf conversation, that essentially everything we've ever known as God, just to be clear, everything we've ever known as God or as galactic or as superpowers or as fucking superhuman, whatever,
Aliens,
put it all,
vampires,
yeah, I mean, we're basically putting it on
reptoids.
to elves. Like, that's a major realization. But
Mm.
like, when is it made manifest that that pathway we're carving out actually has a tangible result? Like, it's not just, you know, like, you know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
yeah,
Like, when
yeah,
does it
yeah,
be
yeah. It's all fun and games to have all the info, but what do we do with it? Like when do
exactly?
we start living the lives we want to live? When do we get to, be in the, in a just wander the realm, right? Be explorers and all this kind of have the fun.
Yeah.
We've done the work. When's playtime?
Yeah, I know. And that's like a really interesting question. I guess we can kick off next week with that as the first question, because we are creating reality. This line of thinking creates reality. We are opening up consciousness, which means that reality must make manifest literally into this space and time. How it does that, I'm not sure. And like, to what purpose of, is it designed to, I mean, I like the idea of it being unification, the understanding of unification. I can see how, if we're trapped between a war of magical dwarfs and magical elves, that like they are perpetually in a state of magical war and they don't even really know the origin, then us getting to unity consciousness would basically feminize them. They would stop that magical polarity, I guess, between that dark and light arts. In
Mm.
doing that, I can see how there is a frequency shift or an ascension process. I can also see how that's just a level of the game that's destined to reset itself and keep going for the new lot of players. You know what I mean? Like,
Mm.
like
Yeah. I think that's kind of what it looks like and feels like, right? It's like we're at the end of the level, and if we get all the bits we're supposed to, then we get to level up, and everyone else who's just been running around not realizing they're in a game, they don't. They go back to the start of the level.
which is a really weird fucking thought process. Like,
Well, I mean, but if it's about lessons, then I guess you could say they didn't learn their lesson.
have you learnt I don't think I've learnt my
I don't
lessons. I
know.
went back and a
What's
grumpy bastard over the Christmas holidays. I haven't been like well behaved. I've been
no.
grumpy. I've been drunk.
Yeah.
I've been
Oh,
stoned. I've expressed grotty human, like, fucking hell, man. I've had chickens on my lap and beer in my hand and fucking all sorts of shit going on around me. And it's been fun. It's been fun. I've enjoyed it, but I haven't been
mm,
well behaved. And
no.
I
Well,
don't know if I've learnt my lessons.
that's why it feels like we're getting close, right? Like how long, it's like there's no way this can go for another 20 years, right? Like seriously,
Well, I
man,
mean,
my
I
head
don't
would
know.
explode. Like it can't. Like I can almost feel the pressure in my body, like getting, building up and building up. It's like
So
so
are we going to end the show with this surmise that we are literally in just a game? Like, is that where we're at? Is that the
yeah.
conclusion?
I mean, yeah. And are we in flux? Is it up to now? Are we collectively making the decision of what this new reset's going to be? Is this half of the propaganda? Like, if we decide that we're going somewhere better, do we manifest it? Or if we all decide, no, we're going to smart cities, does that happen? Or is there a split? Do we all get what we choose? Because there's, you know, um, infinite Earths. You know, I mean,
Yeah.
it's, I don't know. I definitely have been feeling a bit, you know, trapped in this little
Boom.
aquarium
3D
lately.
world.
Yeah.
Like, I have to say, like, one thing that, like, when I got to the peak of my grumpiness, my poor partnerships, when I got to the peak of my grumpiness, and felt like a cantankerous old man, you know, because, like, when you know this stuff, you can actually be very grumpy, but be very funny about it. It's a funny grumpiness, so it's kind of entertaining, but it's also, yeah, just agitating. I did have to recall and remember that as we go through these pathways in this work, there's still a shitload of magic available to us in our own lives, in our own capacity to manifest. Like, I had to bring myself back to, I had to level up there, you know, because I kind of gave my power, you know, there's a fine line between being empowered by this information and being disempowered by this information, by
Yeah.
being
Being
sensitive to this
overwhelmed. Yeah.
information and desensitized to this information. So when I clicked into the elf conversation with you, the dwarf, I kind of went, oh my God, they're the magicians. We're just in the middle. We're just like playing out between this magical wall that we have no control about. And I kind of gave all my power away in that kind of concept, which made me grumpy. So then I had to, like, go, okay, I need to engage a discipline right now, or something that's going to remind me, like, the power of that personal process in all of this, because this work can become really impersonal,
Yeah.
you know, because it's so broad.
Yeah, I think that's one of the lessons, isn't it? You know, to learn your lessons, to go inside and to sort of see how you can use them and all this kind of stuff is, I think, yeah, that's why we're here, to work stuff out. And it's like climbing a mountain, right? The higher you climb, the further you can see, but the further you can see, the more there is, right? It's like, God, the more you know, the more you know you don't know, and all that kind of stuff. But I mean, ultimately, yeah, we've just got to, I mean, what do we do, right? We just got to keep working towards, you know, creating the best thing that we can create and have the right intention. Because, you know, they want us to believe that we're in the middle of good and bad, and that we have no choice. But yeah, I mean, I've definitely felt a turn. I'm sure everyone else out there has felt it too. So nice, big, energetic, happy ending.
Yeah, because, man,
Down.
I was not in the mood to, I didn't want to save anyone, I didn't want to help anyone, I didn't want to change anyone, I didn't want to fix anything. I was just like, nah, it's all too annoying and dumb. I'm just just gonna sit here and be grumpy. And of course, that attitude does not serve. It's not sustainable.
No, it's not. It's not sustainable. It's fun for a day or two, and whatever, be grumpy. But yeah, so if you're feeling grumpy, yeah, let us know in comments how you feeling, how's the energy, how you dealing with it, what are you doing? But I think the cure to that is action, right? Like,
well, I enlisted to do a meditation technique called the silver technique, which had come up
nice.
on my radar, and it just kept with me. So I'm only on day 4, and I mean, really, I'm liking it. It's reminding me that the magic available to us in this very dense, sticky realm, where you have to, you know, you have to vote for an asshole to get your driver's license, basically. Like, you know, like, I have to be reminded that the actual magic that's still available to us is in our power of manifestation. And, you know, the grumpier I felt, the less I was doing any of that in a positive way to serve myself. So just heads up, if the audience is, like, in any way relating to this dialogue, it's I get it. Get it. So get it. It's a fine line. But anyway, that's the end of the show.
That is the end of the show. It's been a fairly long one today, so if we don't stop now, we'll still be talking tomorrow.
Yeah. All right. Well, it's been really fun. Let's cut the ribbon on episode 1, 2023, Friday the 20th of January at 4:11 p.m. my time. Like, Tartaria Australia, take 1, year 23, and we'll see you guys next week for Tartaria Australia.
We will. Stay awesome.
Have a beautiful week. See you
Bye
guys.